Hi guys, Old Man Chris with a fairly brief offering. Haven't had much time, and I won't have much time as my buddy's arriving tomorrow for 2 weeks. Plus part of my lack of time is standing time. Been a bit crappy this last week or so. But I did want to just check out this Hobart that I've told you about before. It's only a 90, I've discovered. I mean, considering its weight, you'd think it was about a 200. But it was a gift. I'm certainly not complaining. You'll see, I have a look over it and you can see it's pretty tatty, but basically it runs, and I'll eventually get the gas hooked up. I've got a gas bottle with it, which is a bonus. Then we have a look at a rather nice material gift from my viewer friend Bill Lewis. Beautiful chunk of aluminum plate, absolutely wonderful. Very pleased with that. And finally I just look at a little mini grinder, which from guess what? No, from guess where? Yes, Harbor Freight. I think it'll be handy for some small jobs. Anyway, that's about it, except to say huge thanks to people who bought the t-shirt. I was amazed when the campaign, as they call it, when that finished on Sunday. It's now, what is it now, Thursday. It looked like 33 were sold, which may not be many to some people, but to me it was more than I expected. So huge thanks to the folks who bought one. I hope you'll like it. I've got one coming myself, so I'll hopefully be able to make an appraisal. The way I had the thing set up, I knew I wasn't going to make much out of it for me, or for the shop in other words, really. But at the end of the day there was a bit left over, which will go towards 1 or 2 odds and ends in the shop, so I'm very thankful for that too. But most of all to the folks who bought one or more. Anyway, that's it. I don't think I'm putting a tail end on this video either. I'll probably call it a bits video again. When I'll get round to something substantial, I'm not sure. It may well be a while. So hang in there. The old fart will be back, I hope. Anyway, for now guys, I'll say goodbye, and thanks for watching. See you next time around. Okay. Well, it's time to check this old Hobart. And slightly disappointing, it's a lower output than I had hoped. Looking on here, it's 90 amp up to 19 volts, which will only go up to, I don't know what they give on here as a max. Yeah, they go up to about 10 gauge, 8th sort of thing. But there's a nice bit of wire on the reel, bit left. It's 030. The feed roller seems to be working alright. This is a bit bodged. I have to tidy that up. It's only the gun switch, and it's set up for electrode positive at the moment, but I'm not sure quite what this wire is till I check it out, because some of these are electrode negative, so I've got to play with it a bit. Anyway, electrically it seemed to check out, sufficient to risk switching it on. So I've had it on once. The fan works, a bit noisy, but this is pretty old. In fact, looking on the Hobart side, I think the size of these handler units, that's what it's called by the way, you might well probably see it on there. The smallest seems to be a 125. So being just a 90 amp, this is pretty ancient. Let me move the camera just a smidge. there's this abomination of a torch, and all this lot, I guess something is broken in there. I haven't set up the gas yet. I've got a fairly decent sized CO2 cylinder, but for now I'm just concerned with whether it'll actually function. As I don't know whether this is H something 9 torch. I think it looks to be about the same. I got a manual downloaded for a 125, so I may be able to get a new torch. On the other hand, I might be able to make this one a bit better. It doesn't seem worth putting a lot of money into this, but anyway, let's set her going. Yeah, I think the fan's pretty worn out. Let's try feed. Seems alright. Let's just bit of test material here. Well, there's not much penetration from that, and I've got no gas flowing, but anyway, is that in frame? Yeah, you can more or less see it. Anyway, we're getting an arc, we're getting wire feed. This is a piece of 1/8 bar, probably about on the limit really, and I haven't cranked it right up. I'm about 1 knot short of max voltage. Anyway, I'll get the gas set up at some point. The main thing is it appears to be viable. I'd certainly wished it was bigger, but for something that was basically a gift, I can't complain. And this is going to be, even though it's only 90 amp, it's going to be fairly useful for thin stuff. It's going to be way better than the Harbor Freight Flux Core 90, which is basically a bit of a POS, to be honest. Plus the fact it's AC. This is DC, of course, which is what you want. So some experimenting to do. I've got to find somewhere to put it. It is extraordinarily heavy. Somebody else, one of my comments, guy said he had one, liked it, but maybe it's an upmarket model. This, as I say, certainly is pretty damn old, but hopefully it'll serve a purpose. As I just said, where to put it? I don't know. I shall have to get another welding trolley or something, because you can't lug this bugger around. Anyway, I'll give you more feedback on this later, as and when I play with it further. But it's got potential, I think, which is mainly what matters. Will you look at that? My viewer friend Bill Lewis from Maryland sent this almost unannounced till the last minute. 9 by 12 inch thick aluminum plate. Isn't that gorgeous? It's amazing how heavy it is when you think it's only the third the weight of that size of steel. So Bill, thank you very, very much. I can't thank you enough. That is one hell of a chunk of aluminum. And it was beautifully packed, I might add, in flat rate box, loads of bubble wrap, beautifully packed. You could shake the box and you couldn't even feel what was in it. So I'm very grateful. I don't get many gifts, and when I do, it's wonderful. Terrific. Thank you, Bill. Harbor Freight again, I'm sorry. I've got lots of grinders, Probably got about 3 6-inch grinders and another smallish one, but this is fixed speed. It's only a 3-inch wheel with a little buffing thing this end. The reason I got it, it wasn't much over 30 bucks. But when I'm grinding very small HSS tooling for the lathe, sometimes I find it's all too easy on the big grinder to take off just a smidgen too much, particularly if size is critical, like on a square threading tool, good example. And this isn't very powerful. Revolutions will be lower than the 6-inch. Let me just run it up. So it runs pretty sweet. What do they quote? 3450 RPMs. Tiny little motor. But the thing is, if you're sharpening on a, well, for me anyway, particularly with unsteady hands and all that crap, trying to get the final dimensional finish on a tool grind or even an angle, whatever, if you don't want to take much off and you're just finishing the grind before you do the final honing on it, I think a mini grinder is useful. I mean, you can touch that and you won't take much material off. Anyway, I think it's probably worth having something else to find room for. That's the problem. Yeah, that really is a problem.